What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. You're watching Life with Brittany Michelle, and I'm Brittany Michelle. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, push that notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the vlog. So in this vlog, I'm finally going to be sharing my hip replacement story with you guys. It's a lot, and I just want to get it finished because I already did a part 1, so you guys already know the whole background story. If you don't, feel free to go check out that vlog. I did a vlog on the part 1 to my hip replacement story, so if you haven't already, please go check that out. So basically, to get everybody up to speed, when I was 2 years old, I was diagnosed with a chronic bone disease and a chronic autoimmune disease, which affects all my organs, including my joints. And when I was 2 years old, it was really bad. I had to scoot on my butt in order to get around. One day my mom said I woke up and I just would scoot on my butt. My legs were fused like this and stuck straight, and it all stemmed from strep throat. It went away until I was 9, and then it came back full blown, and I've been fighting it ever since. The doctors told me I would die numerous of times. They told me I wouldn't make it to 16, then they told me I wouldn't make it to 18, then they told me I wouldn't make it to 19, and then they said 22 was it. Well, honey, on August 1st, I turned 25, baby, and I'm still in this thing, thriving. So, as a writer, I went and looked at my journal to see old journal entries from that time, and I wrote this quote, and it says, "I am not this body, I am my spirit." And what I mean by that is, even though my body may be full of disease, my spirit isn't. And my spirit is a fighting spirit. It is a strong spirit, so that means I ain't going anywhere. Alrighty, so that's something that I really live by. But the doctors basically told me at the age of 15 that I had to get both hips replaced at the same time. And I thought I had like a year to wait, but then they called me and said, "Hey, we got to do it in 2 weeks. You've been bumped up, and we're doing it now." And I was just like so scared. I was freaking out. I was terrified because I thought I was going to die. Like, I literally went with my friends and took pictures at a professional Photoshop place, a professional photography place, because I thought I was going to die. And I was so scared, and I was obsessed with, like, the thought of dying, because I just felt like, oh my God, every day is one step closer to death. And I was just really scared. And then the day came for me to have the surgery, and I remember on the way up, I was just blank. Like, my mom and everybody was just like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yep." And I just knew that I had no choice. I knew that there was nothing I could do, and that I had to do this surgery if I wanted to live. And the way that my body was shaped was, like, now I'm straight and you can't tell anything. I could walk normal. I could stomp. I could spread my legs. I could do this. But before, I couldn't even open my legs more than this. And my back was arched like this. And so in order to get around, I had to swing my legs. So I was in a wheelchair, I was in a walker, and I went through all of this while in high school. And everybody ended up having so much respect for me in the end. And it was hard dealing with it in high school because, like I said, I walked differently. It was obviously I had a problem, and people made fun of me in elementary school. In middle school, I was still made fun of a little bit, but then in high school, everybody was used to it. Everybody was used to me. I was a cheerleader. I was on the swim team. I was on the marching band. So I didn't let it stop me. And everybody always said how much I inspired them and motivated them and just put things into perspective for them. And that made me feel good. It did. So I loved to be able to share my story. And I loved to be able to tell everybody, you know what, this is my situation. And yeah, it sucks and I hate it, but we all go through something. And just because I fight for my life every day doesn't mean that something that you're going through isn't 20 times worse. I don't put my struggle above anybody else's. I know that there's something that you, her in the back, him over there, she over there, has gone through something that y'all have all gone through that I couldn't imagine going through. And so what I mean by that is each and every person in this world has cards that they were dealt. And you were chosen to live that life. Like, there are people who have been through things that I think about and I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine going through that. And it's because they were chosen to deal with that. Someone up there knew they were strong enough to deal with it. And that's how I look at my condition. I feel like God knew that I was a beast and that I'd be able to fight like I fight every day. And out of all my siblings, I would have wanted it to be me. If I could go back and choose my life all over again, I would choose the same exact one. All the wisdom that I have gained from living the life that I have lived, fighting this disease, people wait their whole life for that type of wisdom. And so the day of the surgery, I remember just having tunnel vision. I was afraid. I thought this was going to be my last day on earth, to be honest. But I also looked at times, I remember my mom and all my family members just asking me if I was afraid and if I was going to be okay, and I just knew I had no choice. And so we get to the hospital, the doctors take me in, and the anesthesiologist comes in. They're like, okay, we're going to give you a little cocktail of something that's just going to help you feel more relaxed. And then they gave me the epidural. Now that experience was so scary because if they mess up giving you an epidural, you can be paralyzed. And I was scared so bad. So my grandma held me, and when they put the epidural in, I guess my body like went like this, and so she was trying to hold me because all the medicine. And I don't remember anything after that. Like literally 2 weeks of my recovery, I don't remember because all the drugs that they had me on. But my mom said the first night of my surgery, I sat up, which was out of this world to them, because I was excited to get back to high school. I had to graduate by 17, and so I was ready to get out of there. And so in 6 months within having my hips replaced, I was working, okay? Because I'm a fighter. But I was terrified, and so the doctor said in order to get my hips out, they had to hammer them. They said, and so one of the scars are actually bigger than the other, and so I will show you guys the scar. It's going to kind of show my butt a little bit, so I'm going to have to censor it as much as possible. Well, maybe not. So, you guys, this is the scar from my hips replacements. This is the one that came right out easy. You see? And before, it used to be a lot bigger that they would have to cut in order to get a hip out, but right here, that's awesome. It's amazing what science could do. And look, here's the other scar. Now this hip, this bad boy, they said they had to hammer it out because of the fact that they were fused together, that they had grinded. And the doctor said that they had to basically hammer them out, and the surgery lasted 6 hours. So the surgery, sorry I had to come back later on to finish the story because my phone had died, but the surgery lasted 5 hours. And I remember my dad said he got the call and he was wondering what was taking so long, and then he just rushed in there when he got the call that I was done. And like I said, I sat up the night. Normally they have you sit up the second night after you have your hips replaced, and you still have epidural in, so you can't feel anything. But the way I react to anesthesia is I'm emotional sometimes, or I'm very angry. Everybody's different to the reactions to anesthesia, but me, I've had it so many times. I've had over 40 procedures where I've had to be put to sleep as a little girl, and I remember just always being emotional, and I think it had a lot to do with how terrified and scared I was every time I was being put to sleep. I remember as I laid in that hospital bed, I always looked at it as, well, maybe when they put me to sleep, that's when I visit with God. And maybe I can't remember what happens when I'm asleep because it's not for me to remember. And so I decided that every time I would go under anesthesia, I would have a visit with God. And I would try to write myself letters from God. In the third person basically saying that this is what God would say to me. And just, I did that. That was like an activity I did with myself after a surgery, or before a surgery, to make myself not be afraid. And for anybody else about to have a hip replacement, or anybody else fighting rheumatoid arthritis or juvenile rheumatoid idiopathic systemic rheumatoid arthritis. Juvenile rheumatoid idiopathic systemic arthritis juvenile, don't feel like you're alone. There are so many of us. I've only met 2. And I know of so many. There's so many groups online, and that's what I recommend for anybody with my diagnosis, to connect with people, and to connect. Just always stay connected and express yourself. And don't let your disease change who you are. Like, I never looked at myself as sick. In my mind, like, in order to survive, I kept myself in the same mentality as I always had, and I felt like I was a healthy person. And that's why when I got my hip replacement surgery, I was in shock in a way, because it was like, wow, this disease really is here. Like, deep down in my heart, I wanted to believe I wanted to believe that I wasn't sick. I wanted to believe, like, no matter how many x-rays, surgeries, procedures I had already had before the hip replacement surgery, I just didn't accept my condition. And that's one thing that the hip replacements did for me, is I had to realize, like, girl, you just got both of your hips taken out. Like, you got a condition, girl. And that was hard. That was hard, having to accept it while recovering. But I did it. At 15 years old, and I was in high school. Soon after, months after, like in like 3 months, I was in high school. And all the story is never give up. I really appreciate you guys for allowing me to share my story with you guys, and I hope you guys stay tuned for the next vlog. Thank you for sitting back and relaxing with me. Until next time, I'm blessed, you blessed.